fact, I'm a football coach. It's a competitive thing. I despise for people to beat us.
To Elliott, who goes sweeping to the left side. Gets to the 20, loose to the 30, to the 40, down the left side to the 50 goes Elliott. He's going to take it to the house. 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. 85 yards. Back is Dorsey to throw. And he throws it in the end zone. It's incomplete. The Buckeyes win the national championship.
It's Everything Buckeye Nation, the voice of the fan, with your hosts, Jake Smith and Corey Boyd.
All right, welcome in, Buckeye fans. Ohio State just beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers 30-14. It is Saturday, October 13th, and the Buckeyes are 7-0. And most of us would be happy with that at the start of the season, right, Corey?
Yeah.
I tell you
Very
what,
happy.
I'm not feeling too happy about what we just saw, though. I don't know about you guys. Appreciate everybody jumping in. People wanted a post-game show. We couldn't be at the studio, so we appreciate you hanging in here with us via the Skype chat, the live show. Let us know what you're thinking about. What'd you think about that Buckeyes 30-14 win? Defense stepped up in the second half, but comment your thoughts below and let us know what you're thinking. Corey, how are you feeling after that kind of game?
You know, they're seeing us in a different light now. We're not in studio, split screen. That was the worst loss worst loss. See, I just called it a loss. That was the worst victory I have seen in a while. We looked absolutely horrendous on defense. You know, I think me and you could have said slant on 3, go. And no adjustments whatsoever. The runs, what did I say? My bold prediction, no plays over 30 yards. Well, that went out the window pretty darn fast.
Pretty quick indeed. And Robert Rohr jumps in the comment section here, says the defense needs some major work. I mean, like you said, where are the adjustments? I mean, it really seemed like P.J. Fleck just trotted his Gopher offense out there and said, all right, all slants, ready, break. And here we are. I mean, it worked. I mean, they only scored 14 points, but it seemed like they drove the ball down on us the whole game. We forced a couple turnovers. I mean, the reality of the situation is Ohio State won 30-14, but Minnesota had 3 turnovers, all of which came inside the Buckeyes' side of the field, and they also missed 2 field goals.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing, Smitty. You hit it right on the head. If we play a competent team, they score way more than 14 points. Way more than 14 points. I mean, he missed a chip shot.
Yep.
Field goal. And it wasn't even close. They might as well have went for it. Turnovers inside the red zone. I mean, the interception that Pryor got was a gift.
Yep.
I mean, come on. And Mike Tackett, thanks for making the comment. He said he missed the game. Was it as frustrating as the score? That is an understatement.
Thank you, Mike, for jumping in and tuning in. Yes, it was as frustrating as the score indicates. I mean, the funny thing is Dwayne Haskins threw for over 400 yards again, and we're not even talking about it really. We're just we've almost accepted that as an inevitability, whereas the last few years we've been an incredible running team, and we haven't seen that at all. I mean, I think I saw a stat, I think 11 Warriors posted that since we started the season, it's been our rushing yards per carry has gone down in every game. And I don't understand. Where did our mauling offensive line go?
They went into hibernation, or they tucked their tails in. I don't know what happened, because they made us look like little punks today. Minnesota punked our offensive line. That's exactly what happened today. Beat us off the ball. I forget what replay it showed. It was the 4th down we missed. I believe it was the first quarter when they tried the little toss to Paris Campbell. They called a timeout before the play counted. Then they decided to hand it to Dobbs right up the middle. Soon as he got the ball, they were in the backfield. Absolutely pathetic. We have to throw now on 4th and 1 to get a first down.
It really is sad. And it's funny because I made a comment. I believe I tweeted it. It was when we were starting to go for it on 4th and 1. And we called a timeout, but it was right after, we could see the play. It was a little jet sweep, little touch pass to Paris Campbell. And I tweeted and I said, do we really need to run side to side on a 4th and 1 to get it? And then we came right back and ran right up the middle with J.K. Dobbins, and it was pathetic. It was stopped for a loss. Our offensive line just not getting any movement off the ball. You're supposed to get your head on a hat and drive your man downfield, and I didn't see any of that today. I really don't understand. Ricky Brown tunes in. We appreciate you commenting. Ricky says, Isaiah Prince was awful. Where did this come from? Isaiah Prince was one of he's a captain, and he looked like a freshman or sophomore out there like he did a couple years ago at Penn State and against Clemson, just getting worked.
Every play. And it's not like he was doing some fantastic moves, some swim, some spin move. No, just right around the edge every single time. I'm just going to use my speed to beat you. Come on. Every time. It was to the point where the refs were letting him get away with false starts because he false started a couple times and they didn't call it. He false started to try to beat him because he knew his speed was too much, and either he still got beat or he held.
It's really a disappointing performance, I think, from everybody on the team today, except for Dwayne Haskins and KJ Hill. And we can get into a little bit more of that in a little bit here, but our gal Natasha tunes in. Hey, fellas, game was very disappointing. Defense is terrible. No running game. They don't deserve to be number 3. Natasha, I cannot say that I disagree with you. I, throughout the game, was watching like, this is not the number 3 team in the country. Who is this? Who's playing right now?
No. And this is what my fear is when it comes to us and going to the playoffs. I harken back to the 41-0 drubbing we got to Clemson.
31.
See, I give him 10 points because it was so bad. See,
it felt
that's
like
how bad
41.
that game was. It felt like 41. If we lose a game, I just feel like they're going to be like, do we really want to do this to ourselves again? I feel like that's how the committee is going to feel. I'm not saying me as a fan, but the committee. Because we're getting now into the late part of the season where it's bad to lose a game now. Especially with the schedule we have coming up. You don't want to lose to any of those teams. None of them. And
no,
the
we
way
can't.
We're playing pathetic football. It's Haskins or nothing at this point.
You're right. And I never thought we would say that, but here we are. Joe Lucas in the comments says, relax, guys. We got the W. Reinforcements coming back next week. It's about getting better. Trust the coaching staff to fix it before Purdue next week. Joe, thanks for the comment. I love the positive attitude, and he is right about reinforcements coming back next week. We did not have Jonathan Cooper. We did not have Malik Harrison on defense, and that could contribute to some big plays being allowed on the defensive side of the ball. But very, very frustrating regardless. Andre says the defense really needs to step up. Should have won bigger. I mean, like I mentioned beforehand, it's Minnesota turned the ball over 3 times inside the Ohio State side of the field and missed 2 field goals. I mean, that's we got lucky a lot of those times. I mean, like you said, the Isaiah Pryor pick was a gift. And I don't know if it was the first or second drive of the game where Pryor had one right in his hands and he dropped. It was like, we got to make these plays, man.
And I agree with Joe. We were missing people, but it's Minnesota. It's Minnesota.
We were favored by 30.
30. We should be able, with the people missing, to play better football. They shouldn't have wide open gaps on defense. I understand we're missing people. They're injured. Next man up. It's Minnesota. We have to play better. I'm not playing Minnesota. I'm thinking about down the line. That's what I'm thinking about. What if somebody goes down the line and we have to rely on these players? Do we want to play like that? No.
Can we play better than that is the real question.
And on offense, no excuse for the running game. There is none. Zero. Dobbins and Weber, there's no reason that Minnesota should outrush us that bad in the running game.
A lot of it, I thought personally, came down to effort. I was really disappointed with both offensive and defensive lines. The effort just didn't seem to be there. They didn't want to be there. I don't know. I mean, Alan Russell says we're fine. In the famous words of Aaron Rodgers, relax. I understand that, Alan. I appreciate your comments. We are 7-0. We're the number 3 team in the country. Last week, I had a very relaxed approach last week after the Indiana game because I thought, all right, that was disappointing. We have a lot we need to work on. And we should get our frustrations out against Minnesota.
Right.
And not only did I see more of the same, I was more disappointed in effort and scheme. I mean, how many inside slants did we allow today on defense?
Gosh. Everyone almost to the very end. And here's my thing. I understand the whole relax. I get it. But when it's week after week, the same thing is happening every single time. I'm like, come on. First drive of the game. We have a stop. It's an out route. What do? You don't turn around, interference, and you extend the play. It's not about, oh, well, we won. It's about when you play that premier team, you can't give them an extra possession because you didn't turn your head around. And you shouldn't get beat with the same play. Let's just flip it. Let's hit R2 and flip it. Come on.
Is that all it takes nowadays? Apparently. I really don't get it. John Lucas says you got to give PJ Fleck a lot of credit. He had his team fired up, and it was all about effort. Minnesota gave it. We didn't. I mean, there you go. Right there. He had his team ready to go. And I don't know if our team just thought it was just another nooner, just a snoozer. It's Minnesota. They got smoked last week. They got smoked the week before. We don't really need to give our best effort today, and we'll still win. And that's what happened. And, I'm gracious to root for a team that has this much talent and can play so poorly and still win by, 16 points. But it comes down to where we need to be at the end of the season is not anywhere close to where we're at now, and that's okay. But at the same time, I'm not seeing the week-to-week improvement to get to that elite level by the end of the season.
And that's the thing. It's about improving. We're regressing a little bit, and that's why I don't like to see, we now expect Haskins in the passing game to throw over 300 yards.
Yeah.
We now expect it. It's to the point where me and you, we don't even make that in our predictions anymore because it's not a bold prediction anymore. If we say Haskins 300 yards, 4 TDs, that's your prediction. It's not bold anymore, and we expect it. And it's kind of sad that we need it to win now. We need 304 TDs to win because our running game is non-existent.
It's very frustrating. Shelly once says, we are not playing like the number 3 team. We should treat every game like the national championship. It's a win, yes, but coach is not happy and he is not relaxed. And I've got to agree. I mean, it's obviously you can't treat every game like the national title game because while you can preach that as much as you want, it's just not going to happen for these 18 to 22-year-olds. But Alan Russell says, the reason I say relax is because we sleptwalked through that whole game and won by 16, and we'll get it figured out. Our guy, Eddie Stats, if Minnesota capitalized on the opportunities that Ohio State gave them, they would have won. And he's exactly right. Eddie's exactly right. They turned the ball over 3 times on our side of the field and missed 2 field goals. 2 of those were interceptions inside the red zone.
Yeah.
I mean, if those two were touchdowns and they hit one field goal, that's 17 points. They beat us 31-30.
I mean, we can play the if game. You never know what we would do on offense, but he makes a good point.
Sure.
We got the turnovers, which that's good. We intercepted it. He played the ball. He read the quarterback. That's a positive. At least he's reading the quarterback. That is a positive. But like you said, I'm not seeing improvement. I did read the comment from Allen. We basically walked through that game and won by 16. That's what worries me, is walking through the game. We shouldn't be walking through games at this point. I don't care if the game's at 12, 3:30, 4 o'clock, 8. You shouldn't walk through any game at this point.
No, I mean, Randy says O-line is playing so bad, especially Prince. I'm confused with the offensive line because for the last few years we've been so run dominant and it's just been maulers on the offensive line. And now I understand, not being as great with them this year because of Haskins, because of his skill set. But at the same time, when we do run the ball, it's almost like our offensive line is still in their pass sets. Like when you pass set, it's kind of it's a more relaxed couple steps, drop back to absorb the blow from the defensive line instead of pushing forward, get a head on a hat and go and push your man forward and let J.K. Dobbins or Mike Weber get the ball and run 4 or 5 yards before being contacted. Now they're getting hit at the line or even before. We seem to have lost an identity on the offensive line where we used to just punish teams. And I don't know if it's effort or scheme or what, but that's going to have to change, especially when we play big-time defensive lines. Hell, even Michigan State, the Wolverines, Big Ten title game, we're not going to get anywhere that we want to be if our run game is this poor.
Right, and Randy Russell, thanks for the comment. He says O-line, especially Isaiah Prince, was so bad. Clyde says no killer instinct. And Sean says with our O-line like this, there's no way we're beating a Georgia or a Bama.
Not right now.
Could you imagine Haskins running for his life against Georgia or Bama at this point?
Well, I don't think Georgia's that good, but that doesn't take away from his point.
Georgia's better than Minnesota.
Well, I'll give you that. And he was running a lot today. I don't know what's wrong with Isaiah Prince. You know what? Carter Coughlin is that number 45 defensive end for Minnesota. And that kid is a great player. He was a 4-star recruit. Ohio State really, really wanted him. And he ended up staying home and playing for Minnesota. Both of his parents went to Minnesota, so that was going to be a tough get from the get-go. But I remember a few years ago really wanting Carter Coughlin because I really liked his tape. And, here he is wreaking havoc in the Ohio State backfield. He made Isaiah Prince look like a punk, man. He couldn't do anything.
And it was sad. And the more pressure he got on Haskins, the more confident he got. And I always say you don't want to give an inferior opponent confidence. It just makes it worse. They're like, oh, we can hang with them. Let's go. We got him shook. And he was just running around him every single play. And I don't mean to harp on it, but it's just pathetic. You cannot let that happen, especially when you know your quarterback's not mobile.
And, gosh, you hit the nail right on the head there. Natasha says, I'm sorry to say this. I feel like they played better when Day was coaching. They're not playing with a sense of urgency. That is something that is definitely out there. I mean, I'm not going to come out and say that Urban Meyer shouldn't be the coach because that's ridiculous. But we did seem to play with more urgency when Day was calling the plays. And what I hate to see is when we get up to a 3rd and 1 and we run up to the line really quick and then we all stop and then we turn and look at the sideline like, what are we going to do? Just, grow some balls and man up and block your man and get the first down. What's our offensive line doing, man? It's very, very frustrating to see. I don't know. I can't imagine what the locker room is like right now. You know, what do you think they're doing right now? You think they're celebrating in the locker room? I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't think they're celebrating. I know Urban enjoyed this win, but I think they're going to get in them on practice. Allen says, I agree, guys. He's just trying to remain optimistic. There's glaring issues with this team, but he thinks they play down to their competition.
Well, I don't think he's wrong. I don't think Allen's wrong at all, because I definitely get that vibe. Whereas you don't really see that from Alabama. And while, you know, we're not playing Alabama next week, and thank the Lord, because I think we'd get steamrolled next week. But there is time to improve. It's okay to be optimistic, and we should be optimistic. It's just frustrating to see this sort of frustration. You know, I mean, who are these guys? Where is the dominating offensive line of the past, or the defensive line? And yeah, Nick Bosa makes a huge difference on that defense, but we weren't getting hardly any pressure, it seemed like, on the defensive line. Our linebackers played okay, but not great. It was amazing to see what the secondary did when they actually turned their heads to play the ball. Holy cow, they made an interception or two.
Wow.
And then when they didn't, they got called for a flag. It's incredible. It's like, wow. It's almost like we should have known this 4 weeks ago.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? What happens when you just look for the ball? I mean, who would have knew that looking for the ball is key? Amazing. Sean says, without a leader on the field, without Bosa, there is no direction and no urgency.
It's almost like everybody's looking for somebody to step up and make a play instead of trying to be that guy that makes the play.
You can't wait for Bosa.
What's that?
You can't wait for Bosa.
No.
I agree with you, but you can't wait. Like, he's not there now for what? Past 3 or 4 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Since TCU. He has not been there. He's not just going to walk onto the field.
Nope.
You've got to play ball. Next man up. Our defensive line is supposed to be the best defensive line in the country. Well, today I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either. And, you know, no Nick Bosa obviously hurts, and Jonathan Cooper is a main component to replace him, and he wasn't out there either today, too. So there is, you know, a little bit of that. Malik Harrison didn't play. A starting linebacker's out. A starting defensive end is out. 2 starting defensive ends, really, with Cooper and Bosa. And, you know, the good news is we only let up 14 points. The defense did stiffen up when times got hard. And there are some positives to take away. I mean, we won. That's good.
That's always
very good. Haskins threw for 400-plus yards for the second game in a row, which has never happened in Ohio State history. And he also is clearly a very good leader, and the only person driving this team right now, it appears, Dwayne Haskins. KJ Hill had an unbelievable game. I think he had 9 grabs, right around 150, 160 yards, 2 scores. How about that one-handed catch?
Yeah, that was filthy. That was just that's your guy.
That is my guy.
That's your guy.
I
gotta
love
give it to you.
KJ Hill.
I gotta give it to you. I think he is emerging as his go-to guy. Because when he needs a play, he is looking for number 14. He is looking for KJ Hill. And this game mattered. It was close. 30-14. Yeah, it shows, you know, we won by more. But no, this game was close, and he was looking for KJ Hill on every big play. The big 4th down out route on 4th and 2.
What a catch.
Pass was a little bit behind. Great catch. By KJ Hill. He's looking for him when the big plays count. KJ Hill is coming up big time. That's your guy. And that's becoming his number 1 receiver.
Love me some KJ Hill, man. I got to say. Ricky Brown says, I miss Kerry Combs. Don't we all? Brandon Canfield says, we got to get back to the fundamentals. We looked beat because guys got lazy. Bad footwork, poor positioning. He's exactly right. Brandon's exactly right. Fundamentals just weren't there. I don't know why the effort was so poor today, but that cannot happen again. I mean, it cannot happen again. If this same team shows up to play Purdue next week in West Lafayette, we'll get beat.
Yes, you can't on the road at night.
And Purdue has way more athletes and a much better offense than Minnesota does. I mean, if this exact same team shows up with the same attitude, same effort, we'd get beat against Purdue if we played at 7:30.
Yeah. And I like Joe Lucas's comment. Even though Haskins is my guy, he did have some throws today that were behind his receivers. They made some good catches. Paris Campbell did drop one. It was a little high, but he still should have caught it. But they made some good catches today. And we just have to get the running game going. Because the play action is not going to work if you can't run it. You're not going to fool anybody.
Yeah.
You can fake it all you want. So what? You ain't run anything all game long.
We tried to. We faked it all day. But I don't think anybody fell for it. It's
just I feel like we lost even though we won. That's how I felt today. Because when I woke up, I said, man, this is going to be a high-flying show. I mean, we might score every possession. Tate Martell's going to get in. Let's see what he's going to do. I mean, by halftime, this is not going to be a game. Hopefully the defense can shore up some of its lapse in judgment. No, not at all. So that's why I'm down, because I had big expectations for this game.
Well, I did too. I mean, I tried to remain extremely optimistic after last week. I was not happy with how we played last week. From offense, defense, special teams, effort, all of the above. And I thought, okay, we are going to figure this out. And we're going to play Minnesota. We're going to take care of business. I mean, my prediction was 56-10. And I truly thought we'd come out and put a whooping on them on offense and defense. It's funny that the defense held them to 14 points and they looked pretty solid. But we still gave up those big plays. I mean, Isaiah Pryor got absolutely juked out of his jock strap on a third and long, I want to say it was, just on an out route. He overran it. All the player did was stop and run upfield, and he was sliding down into the sidelines. And we got a lot of work to do, Corey. A lot of work.
Yes, we do. Well, any last things you say about this game? I do see Ricky said that Ben Vector have a catch. I believe he had one catch today.
Yeah, he also dropped the ball and hit him right in the face. He dropped one.
Yeah. I think he had one catch today. I know he had one, but then it didn't count because of the penalty. Yeah.
One thing I would like to say is another positive. While Haskins and KJ Hill looked amazing, our tight ends showed up and played well today. Rashad Berry had a couple big catches. Luke Farrell caught a nice ball on a wheel route for 25 yards. That looked good. And I just love Paris Campbell, dude. Anytime it hits his hands and he catches it, it's, hold up, watch out. Every time. And that is an incredible player to have. That is very, very fun, a big plus for the Buckeyes to have Paris Campbell catching that ball and running around. One final thing, I hate the fair catch rule on the kickoff. Hate it. You catch the ball on the 1 yard line and call a fair catch, and you're gifted, a quarter of the field. Yeah, go ahead, start at the 25. I mean, I'm all for player safety too, but I don't like that. I don't like that one.
And sometimes I think they're hurting themselves because we have been known to give up some big plays in the kick game too.
Very true.
So you're hurting yourself when you do that sometimes, I believe. So I'm like, hey, go ahead and just, especially when you're not favored to win, why would you call a fair catch? Like, what do you have to lose?
Well, we've got a lot to work on. Scott Culp says, thank God we have a passing game. No kidding. Want to shout out Rick Williams. Minnesota made our defense look elementary. Along with others, kudos to Haskins and receivers along with Hill. Good stuff there. Our guy Timothy Roberts always joining in. We appreciate you. All these coaches and players commenting is hilarious. Everyone seems to forget that you get everyone's best game as a top-tier team and ignore the fact that the D is banged up. That's a really good way to look at it for Timothy Roberts there. that the defense is backed up. We're going to get everybody's best shot, and that's understandable. And we held them to 14 points, made plays when it mattered, but we can't have this kind of performance against Purdue next week.
Right.
So
yeah, we can't, and it's not about. It's really not about. It's about we're looking forward. We're not looking at Minnesota. At least me. I can do that, but they can't.
Sure.
I'm looking at who we are. Like we're looking at Michigan, the Big Ten title, and possibly the playoffs.
I'm not, and I cannot overlook Michigan State.
And Michigan State too. But those are our big games, and if we play like this,
we're gonna be in trouble, my friend. We're gonna have some tough shows ahead.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's tough. It really is tough. Brandon Canfield
and Haskins, I trust.
In Haskins, we trust indeed. Brandon Canfield also said, "How about that 6'9", 400-pound right tackle for Minnesota? That dude is a large man."
Right.
He will be good for, and props to Minnesota. They came into the shoe, they played their hearts out, and definitely could have been coming away with a victory. So I'm glad Ohio State got the win. 7-0. Best thing about 7-0, chance to go 8-0. We got a tough one on the road next week against Purdue. Didn't think I'd have to say that, but here we are. We got a lot to talk about on Tuesday, Corey.
Yes, we do. 7-0. 7-0 is 7-0 with all the frustrations and happiness and overreactions and underreactions. 1 week I'm coming in saying we're going to win 70-3. And then the next week I'm like, what is going on? But that's what Tuesday is for. I might come in Tuesday after I sleep in a couple days and all is good.
I bet we feel a lot better on Tuesday. And it's all right. We're 7-0. Chance to go 8-0. As long as we take care of business, we will have our shot at the Goliath, and that's all we can ask for. So that's all I got. I think we wrap this up and really come back with some hard-hitting analysis on Tuesday.
All right.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. Alan Russell, Brandon Canfield, Timothy Roberts, everybody for commenting. Buckeyes got the win. That's most important. We're 7-0. Chance to go 8-0 is all we can ask for. So we got a lot to work on, but that's okay. We've got some time. We'll be back with the Everything Buckeye Nation show Tuesday night, 7:30 to 9. That'll be the 16th, Tuesday the 16th here coming up next Tuesday. Corey Boyd and I will be there with producer G. Appreciate him getting this all set up from the studio while we sit at home and watch the game. Makes it easy for us. Producer G always does. So for producer G, Corey Boyd, I'm Jake Smith signing off saying go Bucks and
I'm reaching my arm, but you can't see it, but yeah.
Go Bucks, baby.